Hey everyone, today Solar is going to be showing you all how to play Zerg in a macro sense, a nice bread and butter build to hopefully get you through your ZvT woes. It is a bit of an older replay, as you can see here. We're on Automaton, but it'll still do the trick. Trust me, it'll be fine. And it'll be good for any of those macros out there. You just want to learn the basics of Zerg, kind of feel out when you should be getting X many drones, X upgrades, and this is going to be a good guide for you. So let's get started. You always start off with that 13 overlord. If I'm not saying anything specific, just kind of assume that you're going to be making drones, because that's what Zerg does. Solar goes for a 16 hatch here. Plant that down. Get your gas. And a spawning pool. Fill up your gas geyser. Get an overlord. In this game, Solar prematurely takes drones out of gas. So go ahead and take 2 drones out of there slightly before they actually have that 80 gas. And go for a hatchery after you build 2 queens, 4 lings. Prepare the drone at the 3rd. And as you get 300 minerals, slap down that 3rd hatchery. At 100 gas, which a single drone should have been mining, start your speed. Get another queen. You can use your first natural queen to spread creep. Start another queen at the natural. Start your injects. Should be droning throughout this. Make sure not to be supply blocked at any time. 3rd base finishes up, so start a queen over there. Build a couple last drones, and then around now should be building upwards to 20 lings to start tackling these hellions. Build another queen. Your overlord, the first one you send across the map, should be scouting what exactly the opponent's doing. You should have already seen whether or not they're going hellions, but get a good look at what the starport's producing. Start up that lair around 410. Alongside that, scouts, spores if necessary, or if you can't get a good scout, are still worthwhile. And then slap down that bane nest at approximately 430, as well as grab 2 gases as you prepare for the mid game. Should have filled the main gas geyser back up when you got those gases. Fill your gases in the natural. Build 2 evolution chambers, as well as an overseer. Start that baneling speed. Kind of as soon as possible, really. Get 2 more extractors. You should be upwards of 60 drones at this point, prepared to saturate your 3 bases fully alongside 5 of those gas geysers. Start your 1-1 with melee upgrade. And reach towards that 4th hatchery at your 4th base location. At around 6 minutes, you should be at that nice saturation. 66 drones, 4 bases, decent amount of gas. Speaking of which, start at hydralisk then and get 1 last gas. That's 6th gas. Prepare some banelings and some lings for any attack, as those would be the earlier ones would be coming around this time. So you really are just prepping. Make sure to be using your lings if you can, and make sure to get that secondary scout into the main base to see if they're going mech or bio, what type of mech they're going for. Pump out a few more drones. Be up to about 70, 72. Start hydra range, as well as remember to get that speed, which I believe Solar actually queued up, so... Alright, production should start right now. Overlord speed could be something you wish to grab. It can be helpful, even if you're not facing Widow Mines. And this is around the time that many 3cc attacks happen. In this case, it's mech, but if you're facing a bio player, that would also be very common. After defending such an attack, or just waiting for one to come, choose your tech choice. Either you can go into more army and try and overwhelm them and go for an aggressive type attack, even bump that drone count up a little bit higher, or you could even go into that infestation pit upwards to hive, so on and so forth. Let's get into the build order. The strengths of this build. Basic build to learn Zerg, that's always nice. Will match passive 3cc Terran players. So if you are mostly facing those, which does account for like, I don't even know, 70% of Terran plays, then this is one that will match that, provided that you don't take much damage from the harassment options or any surprise halberd attacks. This build will allow you to learn how to adapt to attacks while still shooting for benchmarks, and that's kind of what a general build order really is supposed to do. Obviously, I can't tell you exactly what to do if there's a bunch of Marines on the way. You're gonna have to figure that one out for yourself. But generally, should nothing shocking happen, you still want to shoot for these benchmarks, such as your 4th base timing and your drone count. The weaknesses of this build. For any macro Zerg, learning Terran timing attacks is critical, so there's definitely going to be some homework here. You know, Terran kind of has a little bit of an easy road and learns to build orders. When it comes to build orders, learning build orders, because you can kind of stay holed up in your main base. There's even some really nice defensive build openers that go 6 Hellions into a fast tank. You can kind of cover most bases, but for Zerg, that's probably not going to happen. You are going to be threatened at every single stage of the game, even from the beginning with the 2 racks, right? You're going to have to learn Overlord scouting. That's just kind of what you're going to have to do. So it's a macro build. You're not going to have a lot of units. You're going to need to learn when to produce units and when to produce drones. Halberd attacks would hit before / as a baneling nest is finishing, which is the very awkward timing. The queens are supposed to buy time while you build those hellbats, while you wait for the baneling nest to finish, but sometimes that is very difficult, but that would be your goal. It's not the worst timed baneling nest, you're not skipping the baneling nest, but not exactly safe. 2-on-1s need queens faster, So generally the defense we see against 2-1-1, which, I said, 70% are the Hellion openers. Well, generally the other thing they're doing is a 2-1-1. You're going to see no Hellions. You're going to see a ton of Marines. You can even hopefully see a second barracks if you're good. And then you want to be producing queens kind of non-stop. You're going to push off that lair until post 5 minutes. Get 20 lings around 440. And then you should be able to defend the first attack. And it comes down to scouting what follows that up. That's how you would change this build to do that. No fast overlord speed to see attacks. This is certainly something that you can play around with. Be flexible. You can use the first 100 gas to go into speed. If you think that you're getting nothing but battlecruiser rush, maybe that's happening a lot in your league, then absolutely experiment a little bit with the gas in the early game. Some tips and tricks for this build and in general for a Zerg player. Watch the natural wall of a Terran. Hellions equal a Hellion opener. So you're probably also going to have a starport, although there is that 3rd CC post-factory option. Hellion opener also has potential for Hellbats. It is the largest potential for Hellbats, actually, as well as some of those battlecruiser rushes. Marines, you see a lot of Marines on Hellions. It is going to be a 2-1-1. There are other builds that can be a little tricky, but generally, those are ones you're going to find. And then, of course, for all you guys down maybe in gold or platinum, and you're like, well, these guys don't do anything that's recognizable. Them's the breaks, right? You're going to have to just learn to adapt. Spore crawlers are worth their cost if it means not taking surprise damage. Unless you're working to GM, and honestly even a little bit there, it's okay. Get blind spores. If you can't get that overlord in, if you forget to get the overlord in, just get the spores around that same time I talked about in the video, and you should not take an overwhelming amount of damage to surprise banshees. It'll help against liberators, and it will help you against some of those early battle cruisers, at least to give you a bit of heads up and time to produce more queens. Scout what the 1-1-1 is doing. Then scout if it's mech or bio follow-up. Then scout what type of mech it is. You can also try and scout what type of bio it is in terms of widow mines versus tanks, but generally those are the 3 important things to really scout for. What's coming out of that starport, what's the production facilities, and then what is coming out of the production facilities, tanks or cyclones. Second overlord can scout common T-Rex locations. Very popular thing for pro gamers to do. You'll certainly see it. You can kind of scout a little bit far and then send it back to the natural over one of those little overlord spots in your own natural to see any SCVs building bunkers. That is the safest way to do it. If you do happen to see a T-Rex right from the get-go, then there is the option to pull the drones. But you also could just entirely miss the T-Rex on the other side of the map, and you have no idea that an SCV is building a bunker in your natural. That would be the worst case scenario. So this is the type of overlord scouting path I suggest. You can keep drones 3-3 in gas until 100 gas in the beginning for faster speed and a slower 3rd hatchery. You will see the mixture of these 2 openers in pro games. I don't want to say 50-50, but they'll definitely, come and go. Also, you can spend the first 100 gas on that overlord speed as discussed in that weaknesses section. So that about does it. Hopefully this helps you out in your Zerg versus Terran. If it does, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know if you would like to see another build order. And preferably include a link to the replay or where I can find them, and I might actually get around to it. Have fun StarCrafting, guys.